Welcome to Convo Blueprint. I'm your host, Zion, and let's get straight into it. I said I was going to do part two of Kanye West's interview on Tucker Carlson, so here I am keeping my word. Thanks for tuning in. We are a live stream. If you watch this after the live stream, always feel free to join in the comments, and I appreciate your feedback. I share my views on here at Convo Blueprint. I like to find the root of the topic and talk about those things that are shaping society. If there's any show that you would like for me to do, or you want to come on the show and have a conversation about religion, politics, anything like that, hit me up. I can be found at ibelievetemple.com, and there you'll find all the social links to be able to find me. And then also you could download the Convo Blueprint Wix app and keep up with all of my stuff going there. So without further ado, let's get into it. And I gotta find what I did, with this screen because it's not showing up. There we go.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. So last night we showed you clips from an interview we did with Ye, previously known as Kanye West. Now, last week he was at the Paris Fashion Week and unveiled a shirt that said White Lives Matter. And of course, much outrage ensued and he was roundly denounced as insane. Virtually no one asked him why he did that. So we thought before dismissing him as a mental patient, it might be worth hearing his side of the story. Just listen to him. So we came out to LA, booked a 30-minute interview with West, which quickly morphed into a 2-hour interview. And we're so grateful that it did, because one of the most interesting, deep, and provocative conversations we've ever watched. Everybody thought that. Guys operating the cameras thought that. It really was fascinating, whether you agree or not. So, among many other things, West gave us his assessment of Barack Obama, whom he knows well and has known well for many years, even before he became president. Here's what he said. Do you talk to Obama still?
I was Obama's favorite artist. He actually met with me. Obama met with me and my mama to say that he was running for office back in 2008. And that he wanted the support. And everybody was so into this idea of the black president. And you were always cool. And it's
I wonder why, people were so, why were people so into the idea of a black president? I think because he inspired a type of change. He was able to inspire a type of change, whether you fell for it or not, whether you voted for him or not, but he was able to inspire enough people with his campaigns. And he did get the celebrities behind him, and he ran on some ideas that, I think people assumed by having a black president that equality would be soon to follow.
also like, how many of us are there? Obama level, Ye level, Virgil level, just black, so brilliant that we cut through all of the lines of racism. Like you just can't get rid of us. Nat King Cole level, Dave Chappelle level. So in some place we'd have to be friends and get along because it's like, you're at that level. You're like a, Formula One Lewis Hamilton race car driver. We're still driving a white car, but we're the best race car drivers that ever existed. And that was me and Obama's connection. But soon as I wasn't saying the things that I was supposed to say as a rapper, our connection faded.
So you don't talk to him anymore?
I'll talk to him if I see him.
Yep.
But I guarantee you he see me. I don't even know that. I just thought that sounded cool. One idea that was in my head about 3 minutes ago that I really want to say is that's really interesting about the when companies get the BLM managers.
What's a BLM manager?
Black Lives Matter office manager. It's basically you get a semi-influential black person to become the face of a white company.
Yeah.
Right. So that means like in the
Okay, so this is I want to interject a point here. I think it's very interesting because what I extrapolate from what he just said is the fact that there is no agenda. There's no black agenda. There's no trans agenda. There's no LGBTQ agenda. There's only one agenda, and that's corporate agenda. Because big money comes and always, puts their money behind things. And in my opinion, all these movements and agendas, the corporate agenda is to keep people separated. Um, if you look at the idea of unions for employees, since the abolishment of unions, and I use abolishment because they put big money behind it and took away the unions, right? Um, and then they got people to be against unions. But we have the 8-hour workday, which I don't know how many people truly work 8 hours a day anymore. They probably work more like 10 to 12. But with the abolishment of unions, now workers don't have any protective rights, and then workers' health care is attached to our jobs. So if you lose your job, and that's only in America, if you lose your job, you have no health care. That doesn't make any sense. So I think right here, I'm going to interpret what Kanye is saying as, there's only the corporate agenda, and they put faces and they get celebrities and people who have influence to be the voice, you know, and the face of that agenda.
design world, in the art world, they actually would pick artists that were less talented than other artists based on their influence, not based on their actual work.
I can agree with that. And I also think that based on their influence and the ability to control the influence. For example, Tupac was an art student. Tupac was playing an act. He was not, I'm not going to say he wasn't really gangster, but I think the root and the source of what came him, how he became really gangster is because he had to keep up that front and he had to keep up that role. And you can look up old videos of Tupac and see how his mannerisms were and how he carried himself. And it was much different than the gangster rapper that he ended up being, which, many could say ended up costing him his life.
Because everyone is vying for influence and an opinion. Everyone is afraid of losing their opinion. So with Nike, right? Nike is as famous as, you say Nike's more famous than PayPal, right?
Yeah.
Right. What number company do you think PayPal is?
I don't know.
Number 4.
Overall?
Overall, you got, well, you know the number 1 is, right? It's Apple.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting number 2, but number 3 is McDonald's. Then SpaceX is maybe 6 or 7. It's really interesting that as lit as Elon is, his previous company is actually still worth more than SpaceX. So what number company do you think Nike is, the Nike? Number 321. It's not there to be as big a financial company as it can be. It's there as an influencer because black people love Nike. So Nike.
I believe a lot of that is connected to Michael Jordan. That's just my, and all the NBA players, majority of them have Nikes. I could be wrong because I'm not into sports, but that's what first comes to my mind. Also, the fact that Kanye he's always talking about influence, and he's always talking about, matters of the flesh. And as a believer, I think this is one of Kanye's biggest weaknesses. And if you go back and watch part 1 that I did of his interviews, I talked about, I read a bunch of scriptures that deal with pride and ego. And I think that's this brother's biggest hurdle to climb. You know what I'm saying? Because even with all this money, even with his influence, he still isn't happy and he knows that he's missing something. So he keeps vying for that number one spot and pulling these antics and wearing the White Lives Matter and all these things because he's not truly happy. This is just my opinion on it. I could be wrong.
He is like a company that is redlining and gerrymandering black people. So the reason why Gap wanted me to go to Gap, it wasn't based on, oh, we need to get our stocks up. You know, it's like these companies, when they've been around for a long time, Gap's not like, they're like, we're in the rag trade, we're never gonna be Apple. And everyone, all of these American companies somehow took this deal where they start putting in these really awkward, weird number kind of CEOs. Like Nike's got one, the Gap had one, it didn't work out. And there's all of these weird operators inside of companies, even in Balenciaga, you know. They're just there for control. Steve Jobs talked about it. It's the most important thing you can have is control. Look at me, all the money, all the influence, and I have to act a complete ass to have any say-so of anything that my
I swear I didn't watch part two of the interview because I wanted to react to it in front of you all and give my commentary, but that's what I just said. And ultimately, Kanye doesn't own anything. He's literally allowing himself to be a token. You know, if you look up the word tokenism, I think that's Kanye. And instead of just doing his own thing, you know, he keeps going to the sponsors and his handlers are determining his every move. And I think he's going to get to that later on because I think I saw a clip of somebody, or was it on? No, that was the Drink Champs interview, which I did watch, where he talked about, you know, having handlers around him. So he gets airplay and he gets sponsored when it's almost like training a child. Whenever he acts out, that's when he gets the attention. So the love for Kanye is conditional on him acting a damn fool. So this is what he's describing right now.
children are doing, because that group of people have control and say so over all the children inside of the clan. So that's what these companies are set up for. That's the type of CEOs they're hiring, especially when the founders are out of there. They kind of just give the companies up to a bunch of people, and they're all in cahoots. Like anyone that ever worked with me, they just look at, oh, who's Ye farming for talent that we can hire to be our new BLM office manager. Like, kind of like Obama.
What do you think of Obama as a BLM?
So this kind of sounds like Kanye's pride and ego talking again. He's making it seem like he is being used for his influence, and that could be a true statement, but he also uses his influence and pulls these stunts. I'm sure he's going to get ready to release another project or something like that. Um, you know, I think he's mad about the fact that he doesn't own his stuff, his deals, his publishing. It's all through other companies, and he's trying to arrive to a level of like a like he wants to go higher and higher. He wants to be the number one guy. He wants to have more influence than everyone. And so that's what's truly driving him. And I don't know, can you all see it? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Office manager?
Best one ever.
Yeah.
Best one ever. And you know, I think Obama.
Because to me, what he's saying just sounds like climbing the corporate ladder. Like, you know, everybody knows that promotions and all these things, like when you have a cosign, when you have a mentor, when you have somebody that can speak on your behalf, and you've done this good work. For example, you know, the Genesis GV80 looks like the Bentley Bentayga. Some say it looks better. Well, what Genesis did was they hired the person who designed the Bentley Bentayga. So because I guess they thought that, you know, this person did a great job. So it's just like, you know, I'm sure Kanye, if offered the right deal, he would make another deal with a corporation. He's probably working on something right now. So I don't understand what's wrong about the fact that it's relationships that cause you or can cause you to prosper, and that's where it comes in about being unequally yoked, in my opinion, and being sure that whoever you're partnering with in business is the right people.
Just like Virgil, these people were truly black to their core and truly brilliant to their core. But they went into situations thinking that they could do it the white way as a black man. And we saw what color Obama's hair was when he went in, and we saw what color it was when he went out. Virgil lost all his hair, and eventually passed away. So when I have techniques that are revolutionary, if I raise my voice, if I express myself on Instagram, it's a colonic. And people can say, oh, this what you're doing is toxic. If what I'm saying is toxic, I got to do everything to get it out of my body. And there'll be times where I see a level of oppression, Parisian proper, next level, France owns 80% of African banks level colonization, oppression. And I'll be like, I'm not going to let you guys kill me. But one thing that has to really happen, say if Trump ran, right? We're not just going to be black influence.
This is the main reason why I believe Kanye West even was welcome to a conservative audience, so he could come out and campaign for the prior president for his next, for this next presidential election, so that, he can garner more attention for Trump. But also Kanye is doing the same thing in using this platform, for himself and his promotion as well. I think that's just a piece of the way that the world does business, and maybe why the why the Most High said, "Come out from among them," meaning come out from the world system, come out from these other cultures, and live in the culture that I established for you, and then you'll see great success and make your way prosperous. That's Joshua. That's in Joshua chapter 1 and verse 8, where it talks about meditating on the law day and night. That's what's on my ring right here. But let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you to my I have one viewer on Twitch. Hey, anytime you want to interject in the conversation, let me know.
We're going to be vision and creativity. We've got to rethink who we are as a species. Right now, we practice killing ourselves every day. Like, murder is legal in America.
In abortion.
Yes. So whoever gets the position needs to listen to the vision. I didn't know it was going to rhyme when I first started. They need to have Elon. They need to have me. You should start with those two, and then we'll get to the rest of them. We could pull in a Johnny Ives. We'll pull in all of our living, super brilliant people. And we need to analyze and not just sell out for the cash. Like these Fortune 500 companies, they're just selling out for the cash, and put God first.
I'm going to be doing a video on Moses, because I think what he's talking about right now is like being like Moses. Moses, who, in order to escape persecution, in order to escape death, his mother sailed him down the river, in which Pharaoh's daughter found Moses and raised him. And he was raised in Egyptian customs and African customs, and all the African wisdom and arts and all this stuff, which he rejected. He rejected the life of royalty and identified with his Hebrew countrymen. And so I think that's what Kanye is talking about right now, but I think he should also lead by example. If this is what then obey what you know, because then you'll be happy. and you'll be less, stressed, and you'll feel the joy of the Lord because you'll know that you're doing the right thing. Selling out for the cash, I mean, I think it's crazy because he's talking about it like while he's doing it. This is just my opinion. Let me know if you agree.
And the best representation of God is the children. The children is the extension of the family. Put the families first. There's so many things. Suburbs, the train tracks being ripped up by GM just for capitalism. All these ideas that we have, we're now living in a place where we're the orphans of capitalism. And we just have to take a pause and rethink how we can have the most beautiful existence possible for our children, for the kids. And we're all kids.
Yeah.
We're all God's kids. We're all sons of Abraham.
So as we said, this interview went almost.
So do you think that capitalism creates orphans? Let me know what you think. I think so. I think so. And I think more than capitalism creating orphans, it's a just look at healthcare, look at the prison industrial complex. More than it creating orphans, I think when an unfortunate situation happens and orphans are created due to something other, maybe to natural causes, we don't have systems in place in order to be able to take care and ensure that these kids will be taken care of. And I think with the increase of poverty and the increase of not being able to afford the basic necessities of life, we're setting ourselves up for a bad situation. And I think, ultimately, corporate welfare is how the world, how the world works, how America works. But then we experience harsh capitalism as the consumer. Um, the other day, I'm going to do another video about this. The other day I was, the Holy Spirit impressed upon me to study money. So I just found out, I saw some articles and a couple years ago, and I think it was April 2021, the feds were saying that Americans had $2 trillion in their bank accounts during the pandemic. $2 trillion extra. You know what I mean? Because people weren't really traveling. The pandemic was here. People weren't really spending money because, you don't know where things are going to be. So then about August this past August 2022, there was another article that said corporate profits are at an all-time high. And guess what that amount was? It was 2 trillion. So the way this system is working, it's ensuring that profits are going to be maximized and that yours and my major concern or bottom line and what we have, that we're constantly dependent upon the system. So as the corporate welfare and all these billionaires and these corporations prosper, it means that more money is taken out of our hands. And that money is not going back into the system to stimulate the economy. That money is being used and doled out to the corporations, whereas, we pay higher prices for everything. So the price, it's kind of like if you ever known somebody in the military, we get this basic allowance for housing, right? Every time it goes up in those places where the BAH has gone up, renters raise the price up, so at the end of the day, getting a pay raise or whatever it is, if the cost of living goes up with your pay raise, are you really getting a raise? No.
2 hours, and not a moment of it was boring, at least from our perspective. We can see if you agree coming up next.
There was this amazing.
So yeah, I just think it's very interesting. I did do part 1 of this interview, so definitely check that out. If there's any shows that you think I should do, let me know. If you ever want to come on the show and discuss any particular topics, that'd be great too. And we're back.
Voices, be quiet. Don't listen. He's a lunatic. And so we asked Ye directly about this, about his very public struggles with manic behavior, but his hospitalization for exhaustion. And he gave a remarkable answer. and a believable one. And he said, "The life I was being forced to live was driving me crazy. I had achieved fame and fortune, and yet I was still not allowed to express what I really believed. That diminished me, and it drove me nuts." And by the way, my
But that's the price that anyone pays for fame or any type of platform or any type of influence. Freedom, I think, means exercised restraint. It means that, just like love, you exercise restraint. You don't say certain things to people that you love and respect. Um, so I think what Kanye has realized is for the level of fame that he's reached, he literally did have to sell his soul. And he said it. He said, "I sold my soul to the devil. It was a crappy deal. At least it came with a few toys like a Happy Meal." And this was after he was on a long hiatus. He literally said that a cappella at one of his concerts. And so I think that, when these people sell their soul, which I really do believe you can sell your soul, or else why would the scripture say, what profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? What else could that be saying? Selling your soul looks different for each person at different levels. It's selling your morals, your values, the piece of your character that makes you who you are. And so I think Kanye is mad about it, and it makes somebody unstable when you know the truth. But instead of turning around, you know, I think he's caught in the middle, like the rich man when he was told, "Hey, go give away all your belongings and then come back." And he went away depressed. Kanye knows what he has to do. He came out with Jesus Walks. He told you in the song "Can't Tell Me Nothing" that he knew that Jesus died for us, but he says, "I couldn't tell you who decide wars." So he then goes on to basically make it seem like he's straddling the fence and he hasn't made a decision yet on which way he wants to go. But then, shortly after that, I guess for the fame and fortune, he goes on to say that, he sold his soul to the devil. It was a crappy deal. And then he also said that he sacrificed his mom. So, with the fact of how we see Hollywood, work, does that mean a literal sacrifice? I don't know. But why would he even say I sacrificed my mom for this? You see what I'm saying?
marriage was falling apart, and those two facts were interconnected. Listen to him describe the effect on him as a man, not just on his mental health, but on his dignity, of being told he couldn't say what he really thought.
It's interesting to me as well because Fox News has a history of racism against black people. Um, Tucker Carlson just had a segment where, he didn't like what somebody was saying at MSNBC and tried to make it seem like, he used the straw man fallacies a lot and false equivocations a lot and tried to make it seem like she was racist by talking about the truth about America's, historical racist past, present, and future that we can see. Um, and so it's interesting that they care about this so-called black man, and his feelings and his marriage and all of that only because they can profit from it. But when it was LeBron James, if y'all remember, Laura Ingraham was like, she told him literally shut up and dribble. And that because he's so wealthy, he shouldn't speak on politics. So his opinion doesn't matter because we let you. The way I felt, she was like, your opinion doesn't matter because we let you succeed. Because of America, you're allowed to be, a millionaire, which is strange to me because it's like negating his talent is what caused him to rise to the occasion and just say like, "Oh, because we let you participate in our system of capitalism and let you make all this money, you should be quiet." I'm like, "Nah, you should speak up."
It drove me crazy to not be able to say that I like Trump. Because think about it, it's me. Imagine me not being able to say what I wanted. What was the point of being famous? What was the point of having, millions of people love your music? What was the point of having a voice if you can't even use your own voice and connect it to your own opinions?
Yes.
That's where the disconnect happened. That's where the, quote, I think wrongly diagnosed, that's where the bipolarity is. Because you got something you're thinking, but you're told you're not allowed to say it in public. Well, I never actually told people that I liked Trump when he was running because I was bullied by Hollywood, because I stayed in Hollywood and people were like, think about your kids, and I'm trying to hold on to the marriage, so I'm just biting my tongue. Like, there's so many fathers and mothers that.
What's wrong with the world when standing up or like I don't understand why marriages end because of a presidential, a president that is largely not going to have no great impact on your life. The people who have more impact on your life, arguably, is Congress. So a president's going to be here 4 years, 8 years, and then go about his business. But why would you end a marriage over a presidential candidate? And Kanye's like, if you join Hollywood, you play by Hollywood's rules. And if not, the key about Moses is Moses had to submit his life to the Most High and seek the Most High's way so he can navigate Egypt. You cannot be in Pharaoh's house. Moses was ordained to be in Pharaoh's house, ordained to reject the African customs and reject a life of royalty, so that way he could then lead the Hebrews, the Israelites, out of slavery. So if you're going to play with Hollywood and you're going to do it without the Most High, you're going to lose every time. You're going to have to sell your soul. You're going to have to do things that you don't want to do because that's what's going to garner the fame, the fortune, the money, the success that you want. So these people are so desperate to become famous, and now he's complaining about the deal that he made. So undo it then. But the problem is he went to the church. He walked straight into, by saying he's a Christian and doing a couple gospel albums, he walked straight into the church, and then the church didn't demand that he be any different. I never heard any preacher ask him about the fact that he said he sold his soul to the devil. I never heard any preacher ask him about his prior music and like what that meant and how does he view it now, and what does he think about his lyrics and his influence. I never heard anyone bring any of that up. So was he really discipled, or did they just make him a Christian? And the Acts 13:26 or 11:26, something like that, it says, and the disciples were called Christian at Antioch. You never find any verse where the Most High or Yahusha called his people Christian. That's another video. That's another topic.
Go to work every day and they're in a situation where they're biting their tongue because they think it will be better
Yes.
for their children.
That's right.
So even me in my position, I was biting my tongue on my political opinion.
As a non-European, as a non-classified white person, you have to assimilate into whiteness to experience any type of success in this world. And in America right now, this is just my opinion. And meaning a more specific way of breaking this down is, if your name is John Quavius Jaquise Wright, you might not get a call back for that job application that you put in. I'm just saying. But if your name is Charles Smith, you'll probably get a call back. Or if it's Brandon Allen, you'll probably get a call back. You see what I'm saying? And when you're in a professional workplace, using the proper dictation, the proper enunciation, how you speak, assimilated to whiteness is, the life that most people are going to live. I would also argue that the reason, positive images of Black people are not out in the open anymore is because that's the assimilation into whiteness. The Lil Waynes, all these gangster rappers, uh, they are popular because of their assimilation into whiteness, in my opinion, because the dominant culture and the people that own the record labels said, we will promote this music, but this is what you have to do. Look this up. Crazy Bone and multiple other gangster rappers have talked about a secret meeting in the 90s where they were talking about gangster rap, and it was the invention of privatized prisons and how people could basically invest in a privatized prison, and they wanted them to make gangster music that would glorify the lifestyle in which then all of these people could be locked up, to glorify that type of lifestyle. And do we not see that same thing happening today? Like, I really, personally, I feel like Chicago is a government experiment. So that way, every election cycle, people can bring up Chicago and the things that are going on there, but we don't see any effort to really change the dynamic of Chicago. You know what I mean? Like, the black and brown neighborhoods are just expected to be riddled with crime. We don't see nothing being done about poverty. We don't see anything being done about investment and education, and the schools in the black neighborhoods and the black zip codes. The redlining still exists, and those schools in those neighborhoods receive the least amount of funding. And even those taxpayer dollars are routed to the suburban white neighborhoods. This is just a fact. So, yeah, I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah.
because I thought it would be better for my children. And now you look up, and my kids are going to a school that teaches black kids a complicated Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa doesn't, so they don't teach even Christmas itself, Christ Mass. They don't teach it at Sierra Canyon.
Look, you can't put Yahusha, you can't put the one they call Jesus, the one they call the Christ. You can't put Yahusha in something that he was never in the first place. Show me where we are, as believers of the way, as followers of the way, so-called Christians, how can you celebrate Christmas? Look up Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 1-5, and tell me that's not talking about a Christmas tree. Now, I'm not a person who comes from a place of superiority, like my way is the way. Like, I don't expect everyone to live according to what I say and how I interpret the scripture. I ask people to interpret it for themselves. I have friends and family that celebrate Christmas. I just don't. You see what I'm saying? And I don't believe in judging or condemning someone else. Actually, I believe in judging, but I don't believe in condemning. So I might judge you if you celebrate Christmas, but that doesn't mean I don't judge how the world judges. It doesn't have a bearing on our relationship. I'm gonna just pray for you that you come to the realization that Christmas does not include Christ in the first place. It's a Roman pagan holiday. And the feasts and the festivals are in Leviticus. I want to say chapter 19. If you want to celebrate anything, that's what you should celebrate. The feasts and the festivals of the Most High. He said, these are my feasts. Christmas ain't in there. Neither is Hanukkah.
And what they do is take all of the celebrities, the actors, the basketball players, and they throw them in this one school, and they indoctrinate the kids. So my son's psalm is brilliant. So right now, they're looking to figure out how to indoctrinate him to make him be another part of the system. I have a choir.
I would love if Kanye then went to the fact that that's what all education in America is about. It's the problem why I have an issue with, it's the reason why I have an issue with education. Because education, I feel like it's larger just the regurgitation of information that you were told. So the tests are from the lectures, are from the books that you were told to read, and your ability to regurgitate it, which does not, to me, equal education. And then when we look at theology, like the study of God, and we look at, seminary, and it makes me think that where's the room for fresh revelation? My grandma is 85, and she was born in 1936. She told me that she could have never imagined, because I asked her, I said, Grandma, did you ever imagine that, we'd walk around with computers in our pockets? She said, no, you know? So where's the room for fresh revelation, even in regards to sexuality? Isn't it crazy that, people can't even sit with themselves? People think, oh, this person chose to be gay, or they used to think that if someone's gay, it's because they were molested, or it used to be a mental illness in the book of psychological disorders. And why can't it be that, if you sit with yourself, ask yourself this question when you meditate: when did I choose my sexuality? And you might find that, because I've done it, and you might find that I didn't choose it, just the same way I didn't choose to be born a male or be born a female. Like, I was born with the sex, and I was also born with sexuality. It came naturally. But these are just some of the things that I have discovered, and I think that education is something to be. Um, it's interesting because it's revered in our culture, but I would argue that that's not true education. Maybe that's intelligence. Your ability to regurgitate what you've been told is a mark of intelligence or a good brain. But um, some of the greatest minds, I'm not against education, but some of the greatest minds or the most successful people in this system are not educated, including Kanye, college dropout. A lot of the people, even I think Bill Gates, he got an honorary degree or something. I can't remember. But uh, my point is, intelligence only measured by your ability to regurgitate information that's told to me, is not intelligence. But your ability to take that information and make something new or add to it, I think that's what being educated is. And that is a greater mark of intelligence.
Here at my school. So right now, we've come to a compromise, but I'm not finished because I don't compromise. But we come to a compromise when my kids go to my school after school and they learn choir. I sat there with my son and he came and he said, "Why do I need to sing? I don't even go to your school." So imagine a 16-year-old version of that guy, the 26-year-old version of that guy, where the father doesn't have say-so of what the kids are watching, what the kids are wearing, what the kids are eating, who the kids are hanging out with. Ray Kurzweil said, "We have the information needed to have a human utopia, but we're led by the least noble, most greedy people." There's a solution that can bring happiness to so many more people.
What is it,
I
Kanye?
even had this idea about, the connection of big pharma to farms.
See, this is my problem with people who are gurus, self-help gurus like Jordan Peterson. I'm gonna do a video about him, the Pierce Morgan interview. And I'm gonna just keep rolling on the people who are making strides in society and share my opinion on them. My problem with what Kanye is saying right here, he just left us hanging. He didn't tell us, what can bring us that happiness. I'm going to tell you, the joy of the Lord is my strength. So if you have joy in the Most High and know that He's all knowing and you put your life in His hands, that's what's going to bring you happiness more than wealth. Because what Kanye is saying, as one of the richest black men in American history, what he's saying is he doesn't own anything. He don't even have enough strong influence about his children and where they go to school. So money doesn't equate to happiness. Money doesn't equate to success, and it doesn't equate to ownership. He has to make deals. Why does he not have his own record label? Why are you still partnering with people that you don't agree with for the cause? Now, if the Most High is leading and guiding him, that's a different thing. But if that's the case, I guarantee you his speech would be different. He'd be less disgruntled because he would understand, like, look, I'm in Pharaoh's house, but I ain't going to be here forever, Moses.
By having localized farms. With more localized farms, you can use less pesticides. If you have less pesticides, then you have less diseases. And
I can
have
rock with
Big
that.
Pharma invest in the local farms, and they'll actually make more money. I'm not one of the people that go up and say, "Hey, I want to stop anybody from making money." The people that make money and the powers that be, I am your true Nikola Tesla. And I'm not even a scientist.
What do you think of Elon Musk? Do you know him?
Very well.
So this is the problem, Kanye also, I never heard any Christians ask him to deal with the fact that he said, I am a God. He started calling himself God. Notice he always tried to compare himself with the greats, with these great minds. Why are you comparing yourself? It's different if these people were an inspiration to you, but you're saying you are them. No, you're not. You're Kanye West. Why not be the best Kanye West that the Most High made you to be instead of looking at men to be your measurement of success or of influence? See, this is where he got it twisted. Let me know what you think.
What's your take on him?
You said that because I said Tesla?
I did, yeah. It's just the first thing that popped.
And that everyone's always like, oh, Elon's got these answers. I think he's a great team player. Like I said about Ray Kurzweil and Utopia. In Rome, they would bring all the most brilliant people and have them sit down to the point where their seats had a toilet in them. Like, people would not even get up to use the bathroom. And they would ideate about what society needed. And they'd invent new things, and they'd put it all up on the wall. And Donda, before it was a school, is a design firm. And what I would do is pull together all my favorite thinkers, and we'd invent. That's why I was happy that you saw two of the inventions right there. Because now it's like, if I had said that before you drank the coffee, and some might joke and say you're drinking the Kool-Aid, but before you drank the coffee and before you saw the 3D printed boot.
Y'all, look at Tucker Carlson's face. He just looks like, what is this dude talking about? I'm trying to figure out myself.
0 waste 3D printed boot. If I said Nikolai Tesla, you'd probably, you could have smugged that off. I think it's insane for an administration to not use a talent like Elon Musk more. Like, if I was in or once I am, I will eventually be president before, in my lifetime. But
okay,
if I was in office right now, I would be calling Elon every day. I'd have him sleeping in the White House. I'd say, how do we use our platform as the most influential, that's a Freudian slip, the most influential country in the world, to show the rest of the world how to live a simplified life. But our country is under attack, and media and industries outside of our country are doing anything to keep it as it was. And everyone's just afraid. God is love. And I understand I come off scary sometimes because I'm like, I'm gonna protect my kids. I'm gonna protect my reputation. I'm gonna protect my brand. And there's times when you have to pull the guns out. You have to pull the swords out. You have to have righteous indignation as a Christian for everyone that ever said, I can't get mad because I'm a Christian. As a Christian, it's like, yeah.
I don't understand how you can work and be so successful and influential in the music business and the fashion industry, the two most liberal businesses probably in the world.
I do, because he represents what they would like for him to represent. And now Kanye is mad about it because he doesn't have the creative control that he wants. You know what I'm saying? That's what this is really about. That he doesn't have the creative control that he would like for his music, for his fashion. And I think he's learning that unless you get down with the lay down or lay down with the get down, then you're not going to have that control. And, for the people who make it all about passing on generational wealth, I think passing on generational wealth is not just money, because if the system shuts down tomorrow, which it very well could, or like a 2008, guess what? Then our dollar's pretty much worth nothing. It's really worth nothing now, just the, worth that the government gives it. So heritage is generational wealth. Who you are is generational wealth, because knowing who you are will cause you to rise to the occasion for you to be in a position to live according to who you are. You see where I'm going with that? A man can always make money. A woman can always become successful. But what the Most High told me years ago is, it's not my definition of success, it's his.
As a professing Christian with a pro-life badge on, how does that work?
I always think, whenever God allows a brilliant idea to channel through me and allows me to somehow, take credit for it, I always snicker at the fact that with
Not
liberals,
snicker.
their main, their main tool is, that they use are artists and influencers, right? But then God has the #1 artist and the #1 influencer as a conservative. So I always chuckle at that. Every time I come up with some brilliant, I'm like, could you imagine if, they could have just indoctrinated Ye? The world could have just totally been ran into the hole. And there's battles that the devil had won, but the devil's a defeated foe. Like,
What do y'all think about liberal versus conservative? I think the fundamental problem with liberal versus conservative is the fact that neither truly represent the people. Liberals, large, like I'm going to name something. Liberals largely, in my opinion, they make it seem on the surface as if they care about, social ills and social issues. However, when it comes to doing something about those social ills and those social issues, they're silent. If it means moving so-called low-income housing into their neighborhoods, they're really not about that life. So I feel like that's the problem with liberal. And then the problem with conservative is it's largely exclusionary. It's us versus them instead of the liberal versus conservative dynamic means that we can't even talk about what we agree on first and go from there. We can't even establish a foundational baseline first and go from there. Instead, it's you're about abortion, you're not about abortion, you're about free rights, you know what I mean? And then conservatives, in the name of freedom, want to cut away things that are essential to our economic position, like Social Security that we've all paid into, and with the removal of pensions from corporations and jobs, right? Social Security doesn't make up for all of it, but it is my grandmother gets Social Security. She paid into it. I'm paying into it. You're paying into it as an American citizen. So it's interesting that they want to cut away the things that pertain to the people. So on both sides, I feel like liberal versus conservative is a fundamental flaw, just like a monumental fundamental flaw, just like racism.
for me to have gone from Jesus walks to you're such a hoe, I love it, that's that deviation from the path. So, I love that question because every
Okay, that's the first time I ever heard him acknowledge something like that.
time it just tickles me, like that the very thing that liberals use the most of, they don't have the best person at it.
I mean, do you talk to other people?
Once again, he's talking through his pride and ego. He said the very thing liberals do the most, they don't have the best at it. So he's calling himself the best at it. Well, if he's the best at it, then why doesn't he have the joy that comes with being the best?
Your business, who are successful in the music industry, the fashion business, who secretly agree with you?
Yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of fashion people. Tommy Hilfiger loved Trump. Let me see I got to think of all the other Trump. I'm not even going to use the term Trump supporter,
right?
Because why don't people say Hillary supporter or Biden supporter? This is just, yeah, Yeah, there's a lot of people. You know what? You know, people in my business who love Trump, businessmen, people who love money.
Yeah.
You know, people who love money, people who actually.
For the love of money is the root of all evil, and people have pierced themselves with many sorrows doing whatever it takes to get it. I think that this is key here, and I think that's Kanye. Love and money.
Like being successful and, you know, and not ran into the ground. Like, those are some of the people.
Speak for a moment with West, and he is very likely, in fact, almost certain to tell you about his faith, his belief in God. That's what drives him. He often says it, and he can explain it and explain why. Most people in public don't talk like this. More next.
Yeah, and I just think that, you know, there's a difference in talking like this and actually being this. And I think that's where the disconnect is. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm measuring him or judging him on being perfect or whatever, because I don't think it's that. I think it's, you know, he himself just admitted, you know, to go from Jesus walks to saying these expletives, you know, in relation to women and stuff. So, you know, I think it's a conundrum. And he's the scriptures say a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So I think that's what we're seeing. Here we go.
This is a prayer. We're in constant prayer. I thought Hail Mary came to me not in a Catholic way, but more like in a Tupac way, like, come with me, Hail Mary, I'm gonna run quick, see, what do we have here now? Do you wanna ride or die? Na, 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 na. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
It's like a Negro spiritual. It's a chant. It is, you know, it puts you in that mode. I got a song that I made. It was like a mix, it's a hybrid of that and Led Zeppelin. And it goes, it's like my best song. La, 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 wait till I get my money right. La, 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 then you can't tell me nothing, right? And people, I mean, I can open up this stuff. I can open up tours with this song.
And in that song is where he told you. I mean, he said, I had a dream I could buy my way to heaven, woke up and I spent it on a necklace. Kanye was telling y'all back then, he has never, what I can say about him is he's never hid who he was. It's in his music, it's in his songs. He's letting y'all know that he's like, and then he goes on to say, he said, I told God I'll be back in a second. Man, it's so hard not to act reckless. So and then he says, to whom much is given, much is tested. So he understood from the beginning everything he was doing. And I believe all of his whole career was plotted out from the beginning, that he had all of this planned. So.
Well, I wanted to point out this hybrid. You know, it's like if you see Zombieland 1 and Zombieland 2, or Terminators, anything, they always make the characters a little bit badder in the next generation. So that's, you know, Kim is like a hybrid. She's not just Marilyn Monroe. You know, she's also a fashion person. She's also a mom. She's also an activist. She's a lawyer. She's a multi-billionaire. She's hot. She's one of the most beautiful people of all time. You know, this is a different.
Based on what?
Level.
It would depend on how you measure beauty. Based on what? You know? Based on the amount of influence that she has, or the amount of followers that she has, or the amount of people trying to look like her, is that what makes her the most beautiful? Because to me, that's not how I measure beauty.
Of video game character now. And when you see a headline that says, Kim says, oh, I'm gonna stay single forever, that's the indoctrination. Like, because they want this person to tell all the little girls out there that they need to be single forever. You know, all moms.
Who's they? I would love, in this type of conversation, I would love if he said who they is. Because if you leave it up to Fox News, viewers, they're going to think, oh, they is the liberals. But is that really who Kanye West is talking about right now? Or is he talking about the corporate agenda?
I know there's definitely people who watch the
Do you
show.
think that? So you don't think that's an organic, natural thing? I mean, that is a message that she is being used to send.
Absolutely. Think about the song, Don't Talk About Bruno, no, 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 which already sounds weird, like it's, talking about like an uncle or something that did something wrong if they say, don't talk about Bruno, right? But in the song, listen to the lyrics, it says, the man of my dreams will be slightly out my reach. And I just see my kids running around, and I see these things, but, the thing about, hey, guys, for the execs at Disney that are studying everything I'm doing or saying, trying to figure out how to connect with 15-year-olds, and that's why Bernard Arnault, buys Supreme, and instead of putting a true skater designer, they put like a BLM manager as the head of Supreme, because Supreme has an impact with the 15-year-olds. For the Disney guys, you might not believe in God, but God believes in you. It's not a battle you can win. It's like, don't jump, Anakin, I have the higher ground kind of situation. So you could put out all of the indoctrinations and, moves and have the biggest media company, but why am I alive? Why am I protected? Why did I become the richest black man of all time? Like, how did that happen? And the more and more.
He told you how it happened. He said he sold his soul to the devil. It was a crappy deal. At least it came with a few toys like a Happy Meal. The amount of rappers from Eminem, Snoop Dogg, DMX, your favorite rapper, even to the pop artist, everyone talks about selling their soul to the devil. Is everyone just a jokester? Is everyone just saying this for shock value? Or is there something to it? Even when you look scripturally, does this prove, the scripture over in Mark? What profit, what profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? Are they literally doing it? Because some of even the baby talked about how it was crazy how he sacrificed his dad and overnight he blew up. He tweeted it. So are these people just making this stuff up, or is it the reality?
I lean into God and work for God, the more wins God is going to bestow on our team, on Jesus' gang. And for me to go out and just state an obvious and empathetic statement in the middle of the most liberal central, like to go, that was like Tiananmen Square or something, right? I was like, with Candace Owens, and we both wore the shirt at the same time. We got some Jesus soldiers out here, and people say they're willing to die for it, but we live.
See, the proof that Kanye is double-minded is, like, he went from George Bush doesn't care about black people after Hurricane Katrina to wearing a White Lives Matter t-shirt. Of course, White Lives Matter, but White Lives Matter didn't, pop up, or All Lives Matter didn't pop up until Black Lives Matter did. So the statement, White Lives Matter or All Lives Matter didn't jump up. We didn't hear nothing about it until Black Lives Matter did. Whether you support the movement or not, I'm just staying very surface level. This is the reality. This is the truth. So how do you go from that to that? Because Kanye is about to drop something, because his handlers told him to do this, according to his interview on Drink Champs, which was now taken down, a 3-hour interview. I don't know if I can sit through all of that, but maybe I will. Either at least show the clips of somebody else's video or watch the whole Drink Champs. I don't know.
Live for it. We're living for the battle. And what's the battle for? Life itself. Our children. They're killing us through the food. They're killing us through the content. They're killing us through the programming. But God is alive, and is alive in all of us, and we will overcome.
And what is Kanye really doing about it? What is his, you know, what is his mission other than causing more confusion if he knows all of this? Like, what is he doing about it? Do you think this is enough?
It sounds like you're hopeful for the future of the country.
Absolutely, because I have the vision for it. I understand the ecosystem. I understand how to even liberate a big pharma. I have solutions for the future. You know, I don't have the entire vision. You know, certain things are just in front of me and they happen when they're supposed to happen. But there's so many open doors. Like, we have this concept. This is put on my heart, the idea of a monastery, or I call it the Dondastery, which takes the different disciplines and blends them together. And in the Dondastery, we have proper baby health care. Like, and I'm sure there's a higher, like, actually when I met with Gabby, she had a really, really good term for this. And so many people bring their babies to the hospital, not just black people, and the doctors mess up. And they're like, oh, there's been some complications. So to be able to have like incredible nurses. I was very specific about saying nurses instead of saying doctor too. I don't believe you need a doctor, and I'm not a doctor, but a nurse. It's possible, you know, to have a successful childbirth.
I mean, I think you need both. And if we're gonna make this all about childbirth, you know, I did a video on Roe v. Wade and all this stuff was, you know, in the news, and I brought up like the hypocrisy of Christians, you know, and that is in the sense that, and conservatives, in the sense that after the child is born, they don't give a damn. So you're against abortion, but after the child is born, you want to cut all the social programs that you know that people need because people are living in poverty. SNAP wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't needed. And we could act like all day. See, a lot of that's why, you know, I like the name Convo Blueprint, because when you think about the idea of the welfare queen, that was started by Ronald Reagan and his racist ideologies. And the welfare queen was actually white. And it's also a thing where um the idea that our social ills come from one another, that comes from your neighbor or whatever, trying to, you know, leech off the system. The last time I checked, welfare fraud was at 1%. But go look at how many people got PPP loans during the pandemic who are wealthy. Jay-Z, Kanye West. You know, so who are they? Who are their real spokespersons? Diddy got money. All of the people that we know that are very wealthy black celebrities, and then much of Congress as well got PPP loans. A lot of conservative Republicans got PPP loans. So, you know, that's my issue with the whole abortion thing. That's not the biggest issue either. You know, why can't we start with what do we agree on? That life should be affordable for all Americans, that people should get paid a living wage, that as humans, we all have the same needs. So at least making sure that we have that, you know. But in this system that we currently have, it's only the have and have nots, and the people like Kanye who will allow themselves to be tokens, which rise to the level of that type of fame and stardom and influence, and most of all, that type of monetary amount, that type of monetary power. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm open to dialogue.
And so that's the first thing we provide: shelter. We won't turn anyone away. Food, clothing, high-end curriculum, and vocational curriculum, farming, carpentry, automotive, computer, software, and hardware. So it becomes a new place where someone can lay the baby on their steps and say, hey, the situation I'm in, I don't have enough money for another kid. I don't have the time. I don't have the room in my house. I just don't have the resources. And every day for the past 2 months, I've been walking by this Planned Parenthood, and I'm thinking about stopping in because I just can't have this baby. And what I'm doing is saying, hey, well, let's put a place just across the street from the Planned Parenthoods and say, this is a place that when you decide to have your child, this child can have the best opportunity at life.
Do you think this society discourages parental
That sounds good.
involvement, parental influence over the children?
I want to answer that first. Yes, because the simple fact that that both parents have to work. I'm going to do a video about that idea. What is a woman? And it's interesting. I feel it's interesting when they ask a man that question. It is a very simple question, but the fact of the matter is, it's a loaded question, and it carries with it a political agenda, which is why I think some people don't want to answer such a simple question. Also, the reality is, what is a woman has changed over the years, in the sense that the roles, right? Like, in order to have a living in America, both parents have to work in order to be able to afford a living. Uh, and so the idea of a woman just raising the children in the house is not the reality for, I would say, a large portion of Americans. Even when I was out on recruiting back in 2003 to 2005, somewhere around there, I realized that um, America was in trouble based on the fact that kids were basically raising themselves. And that is the reality now. You know, the parents are still at work when the kids get home. It's a, hey, phone call. Hey, did you get in? Okay, don't open the door for anyone. Whatever, like, it's a check-in. And then the parents get home later. Hey, make sure little Susie does the homework. So I think this is a problem that, if we're going to talk about abortion, how about we talk about this first? Because everything Kanye just said was economical about someone not wanting to have a baby because they can't afford it, etc. So why not focus on that? And abortions probably would likely go down. Also, something that conservatives don't really want to acknowledge, but every time a Democrat is in office, abortion has been going down. It has been on a downhill slope, the last I checked.
I mean, society is like a big term. You mean
It is. Well, you had said that your father was discouraged from, being in your household, and you have been discouraged from being in your children's lives.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a thing that happens to a lot of people in America, to a lot of men?
Absolutely. And a lot of men deal with a mother and the baby mama and the mother-in-law ganging up to take the child away.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
To give the dad his say so. Like, there was even a moment where we were arguing about North's basketball coach, and I had to say, like, I went from not making a basketball team in 8th grade to winning championships in 9th grade by practicing every day. And North likes basketball, and I'm gonna come and practice with her every day. I'm also gonna pick the other coaches that work with her. And now that she's back playing basketball, this is the most confident person in the league. She's like the Dennis Rodman. And when North snatches the ball out of a girl twice her size, and she comes over to the side, I tell her, don't let anyone take anything from you ever. Don't let anyone take anything from our family. Don't let anyone take our company. Always protect your brothers and sisters.
More from that interview coming up.
Okay. I mean, I could rock with that. Let's see what else he got up his sleeve, because it's getting kind of boring now. But I'm going to finish it because I said I was going to. I like to be a man of my word. All right, here we go. But yeah, that seems like us, what a normal parent would do. In some ways, we get to see that even if you're a billionaire, you're a normal parent.
Measure has led an amazing life at the very center of American culture for decades. COVID had an effect on his life, and he has thoughts about it. Here's that part of the conversation.
Did watching COVID and the medical establishment's response to COVID over 2 years change your view?
I mean, that was a piece of it. That was a piece of it.
What did you think of that?
I mean, well, specifically, I'm going to lean into the black condition, just for, being a black person. We've been getting killed in hospitals for years. Grandmama don't come out.
Facts.
We've been getting killed with our food to start off with. We've been getting killed by police officers, every day.
Environmental
We've
pollution.
been killing each other in the streets every day. I felt like the people at the Gap knew about the school shooting that Matthew McConaughey was talking about before it even happened. It was so in sync, the information. And then I heard about it on the radio driving. And I was like, am I in the Truman Show right now? And I tell Candace she's got to watch the Truman Show. You have to watch the Truman Show.
What do you mean the people at the Gap knew about the school shooting? I think in Uvalde, Texas?
Yeah, I'm not saying that they did, but it felt so in sync. This idea of like this media rush over the 78 specific outlets that influence. Meanwhile,
So there's a coordinated message. I think that's what you said.
So I think what Kanye is saying here is that there is a system and there's a systematic approach to the control of information. And ultimately, I think Kanye West is part of it.
Meanwhile, there's the same amount of kids getting killed in Chicago every week, but there's no coordinated message about that.
Yeah.
Have I reached Alex Jones territory yet?
No, I think you're telling the truth.
Okay.
And that's okay if you do.
There is a coordinated message about Chicago. If you ever watch any Fox News, there's a coordinated message about it. And that coordinated message, I feel like, is the same coordinated message we can glean from Jeffrey Dahmer moving to a neighborhood of black and brown people and, primarily killing black men and being able to get away with it for so long. You see what I'm saying? Because they are considered less than. So Chicago is just a talking point for the Republicans and the Democrats who really don't care about anyone. And until we get money out of politics, I think this is what we're stuck with. Otherwise, the lobbyists are going to just keep paying to put the people that they want in there who are going to basically write themselves in order to keep their payday high.
What I'm saying is like, yeah, they keep on using the, oh, he's crazy thing. And it hurts my feelings when people say that. It hurts my feelings that people can ask me, hey, are you okay? Like, especially like I got an ego. Someone that's less successful than me having the right to ask me about me like they're a doctor. What you want me to put?
See, and I think this is the most dangerous part about Kanye. Like I said, he knows what he's doing. The dangerous part is it's almost like somebody not wanting to be held accountable for their actions, but they're fully aware of what they're doing. And he knows that it's his ego and his pride that drives him. But yet it's like it's like a dog. Oh, it's like that snake. Was that on not Lord of the Rings, but what's the other one? Not House of the Dragon, but the other one. Like the snake eating its tail. It's like that. What I feel when I see Kanye, it's like his ego is eating him alive and causing him to really fall from grace and fall from the faith. And so his faith is there because he's aware, but the strength that it takes to choose right and the strength that it takes to choose the most high over the fame and fortune is the battle in which he's caught in, which the song he sang earlier, entitled Can't Tell Me Nothing, that's what that song is really about. So we should pray for Kanye.
Some ice on it. We put some ice on my brain. It's gonna fix it. You know, if everyone's got the solution, yo, you put some ice on it. Do you know if that worked, we wouldn't need hospitals? We just have like ice dens for everything. And stuff. It's like, grandma's got cancer. Put some ice on the cancer.
But you get,
You know, I'm like funnier than comedians, right? Like, and I'm like an ass.
I feel like this is straight up Clayton Bigsby. Y'all remember Dave Chappelle, Clayton Bigsby? I've never seen Tucker Carlson be so respectful to a black person, maybe other than Kanye West. And I'm about to start calling him Kanye West and Clandis Owens. I've never seen him be so respectful. And the fact that Kanye, in the first part of the interview, was like, is it okay if I say this? And was just so concerned about his comfort. I thought you're your own man and you have your own ideologies, but your ego is subservient to the token that you are.
but you get that you get that a lot. People with the kind of faux sympathy. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's like, you know, don't, but you get that even as a famous person. Oh, go ahead, you know, go before me, this, hey, what do you want? And like, it's hard for people to even listen to you. You know, they're just so like, oh my God, this is Ye. Did you hear what he said again? And there's a lot of people that have been put in my
I mean, he made a song Poopity Doopity Scoop. You know, like that was hilarious. That SNL skit about that. That was hilarious.
organization where it's their job to not listen to me.
In your own organization.
Absolutely. And that kind of thing can drive you what?
Crazy.
Yeah, I had my resolution this year was to only talk to people who listen to me. I know, crazy concept, right? I know, that's crazy. That's crazy.
How radically did that shrink the number of people you talk to?
Not enough. Not enough. Because that's how they do. They send the bots in. There's people working here. You know, it's like you have.
So now Kanye's talking about his handlers that keep, in my opinion, right? This is all my opinion. This is my show. That I think he's basically saying the handlers are the ones controlling the message, and to keep Kanye in line, to give him his left and right limits. You know, when he goes off to the left or to the right, here they go slapping him back into place. And I think that's what is keeping him conflicted.
Prince had to constantly fire people. I got to constantly fire people. It's just all kind of people sitting around doing nothing, charging. I had 530 consultants last year.
For your businesses?
For my businesses. I didn't know. We just hire some guys in. And, you know, this is the issue when you hire atheists.
So he had 530 people working for him. How did he not know that? This is showing us that Kanye doesn't own himself. He doesn't own his brand. And that's what he was complaining about earlier. But he signed up for this. And this was that interview back in the day where he was like, you ain't got the answer, Sway. You know, because Sway is not as successful as him and doesn't have as much money as him. But money doesn't equate to wisdom.
I think that's illegal to say in California, but, you know, sue me. This is the issue, you know, because God-fearing people perform for an audience of one. At the end of the day, we all know we have to answer to God.
More from that interview coming up.
I agree. We all have to answer to God. But if he's performing for one, like, how do we quantify that? How does he quantify that? And how is he doing? That'd be the question, right? And I think that's it. Okay, let's hold up. I'll go see what the last thing he says is.
Kanye West, yay. Not crazy, worth listening to, even if you disagree. And chances are you're going to have a chance to listen to him in future years because, if anything, he's getting bolder. That's it for us tonight. Tune in every weeknight.
Please don't tune in every weeknight. Your brain might melt. So yeah, I just something else we can cover. Let me know if you got any questions. Something else we can cover. Let's look at Let's look at this. So there were things that weren't said on air, and Tucker Carlson actually took them off. Let me just set up my screens real quick. And I find it to be interesting. Let me make this bigger for y'all. Watch disturbing Kanye interview clips that Tucker Carlson didn't put on air. Oh, y'all can't see that. Let me do this. So, Motherboard obtained footage of Ye making bigoted statements about Jewish people and bizarre claims about fake children, as well as describing visions of kinetic energy cities sent to him by God. All right. So Fox News recently aired a two-part interview. I did part one, and that was just part two, between Tucker Carlson and Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye West. Motherboard has obtained portions of the interview that were edited out of the final broadcast. These include numerous anti-Semitic sentiments from Ye, a strange and lengthy digression about fake children he claimed were planted in his house to manipulate his own children, and a statement that he's vaccinated against COVID-19. Carlson used the interview, which was presented as a piece of landmark television, to hit on Fox News' favorite boogeyman word. With Ye's enthusiastic participation, the Clintons, former President Obama, COVID restrictions, and of course the Kardashians. But what the Tucker Carlson team chose to leave out is just as revealing. In the version of the interview that made it to the air, Ye described what he said was pressure to not support Donald Trump when the latter was a candidate, called the singer Lizzo clinically unhealthy for her weight, and tried to explain his decision to appear at Paris Fashion Week with conservative pundit Candace Owens in matching White Lives Matter shirts. Also, you know, the duality, right? The black and the white. It's interesting that, they wore the black and the white, and just the duality, the yin and the yang piece. And that when we talk about racial issues in America, it's largely black and white. It's never, you know, or everyone is considered brown and it's like the immigrants are taking over, but it's never from a message of equality. Carlson praised the interview as interesting, deep, provocative, and aired nearly 2 hours of it over the course of two nights. Do you feel at times you were manipulated by political forces through your wife? Carlson asked, hopefully at one point, in a fairly representative piece of footage. Ye responded that he was unaware of how close Kim Kardashian was to the Clintons during the time they were married. A simple statement of fact from Ye, "I was vaccinated," was edited out of part of the conversation about COVID. Carlson repeatedly used his show to air false and dangerous claims aimed at discouraging his viewers from getting vaccinated. All right, so let's check this out here.
Every day we've been killing each other.
Uh-oh.
Every day we've been killing each other in the streets every day. One of the amazing things with Mayor Suarez is the murder rate has gone down. And you set that question up. You have more information about about what happened in the hospitals. So, in all honesty, I don't have the most facts, as many facts.
No, I mean in your life, like
So I might have
the
deflected.
COVID vaccine, the being stuck inside. Like, what did you think of all that?
I was vaccinated. It was interesting. A friend of mine told me that.
Why would they take that part out? The other footage that didn't air specifically includes numerous asides about Jewish people. Ye has recently displayed an intense negative fixation on on Jews. Both on his Instagram and Twitter accounts have been locked in recent days because of Ye's anti-Semitic statements. On Friday, October 7th, he appeared to suggest in an Instagram post that the rapper Diddy is controlled by Jews, not long after he promised in a tweet that he would go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. In his interview with Carlson, Ye said that Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics, as he put, created Planned Parenthood with the KKK to control the Jew population.
Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger a known eugenics with the KKK to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the people known as the race Black really are. This is who our people are, the blood of Christ. This, as a Christian, is my belief. And I believe that if we saw ourselves as more.
I agree with that 100%. I don't see anything anti-Semitic about what he just said, but I have noticed a common theme when any black person of prominence, right? A so-called black person of prominence from Whoopi Goldberg, Kanye West, Nick Cannon, whenever they make mention of black folks being the biblical people, the Hebrew people, there's a problem with that. But if you go back and trace the genealogy in the scriptures, in the Torah, you will find this to be the case. After Noah, his sons, Ham, Japheth, and Shem. Go look that up. So he says, when I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who people known as the race Black really are. Ye added, this is who our people are, the blood of Christ. This is a Christian. This, as a Christian, is my belief. The statement matches up a few different claims. Sanger was indeed a racist and a eugenicist, a stance the organization has since denounced. Claims that but look, since if you denounce it, doesn't mean, it still started that way. And I'm not going to say they don't do any good, but it is a interesting thing. I mean, it's Planned Parenthood. It's interesting. Maybe they don't need to exist anymore, and maybe they wouldn't if we had proper health care. Claims that Planned Parenthood exists to kill Black infants in the womb are common across several different conspiratorial spaces. But is it really a conspiracy when Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist and a racist? Actually, it's not. That's not a conspiracy. That is, it's true. Now, it may be different now, but at one point, this was true. And this is how he feels, and it's not a conspiracy based on the facts. Ye was also referring to the claim, unsupported by historical evidence, that Black people are the real Jewish race, which is often used to promote anti-Semitism. Now, I did a show called The Truth About Israel, It's Not What You Think. Semite means Afro-Asiatic languages, Hebrew, Aramaic, and another one. I forget the other one. And then you look up anti-Semitic, it means people who are against the Jewish race or the Jews. People who are prejudiced against the Jews. How is this prejudice against the Jews? How is that anti-Semitism? So the words don't match up to be pro or anti. The Southern Poverty Law Center has a broader explanation of this particular tangled claim, which is often but not always associated with the Black Hebrew Israelites, a movement that originated in the 19th century. Some Black Hebrew Israelite sects believe that non-Black Jews are imposters or usurpers of true Jewish identity. Well, if you look up 1 Maccabees 3:48, there's some stuff there. And if you just look at the locations of these places, look at the locations of Egypt. Why was Moses able to fit in as Pharaoh's grandson? You see what I'm saying? Because he looked like them. In another side about Jews that didn't make it to air, Ye used a strange metaphor when talking about Black people judging one another, telling Carlson, think about us judging each other on how white we could talk would be like, a Jewish person judging another Jewish person on how good they danced or something. He paused. I mean, that's probably like a bad example of people, and people are going to get mad at it. A few moments later, he added, I probably want to edit that out.
Exactly what our culture is based on. Think about us judging each other on how white we could talk would be like, a Jewish person judging another Jewish person on how good they danced or something. I mean, that's probably like a bad example when people are going to get mad at that shit. But another thing that they do that I probably want to edit that out. They're probably not like that. Okay, so
I don't really see nothing wrong with that part. I think the reality is, he's kind of talking about the black bourgeois class, and I'm adding to what Kanye is saying, and not trying to give it relevance and not trying to change what he's saying, but just giving my own perspective, and that is that judging other black people on the assimilation of whiteness is an actual thing. And I asked some, black folks that I work with, or people seen as black that I work with, and they most certainly admitted there's it's called code switching. The way that you speak in order to be more professional in the workplace. It just is what it is, and that's a reality.
I was talking to Ice Cube today, and we got really beat up in 2020 for saying we need to approach things a different way and not just be trauma drunk.
Right.
Which is a term that God just hit me with in the past couple of days. We are no longer trauma drunk. We're no longer trauma drunk, and we're no longer trauma bonding, and we're no longer woke in the sense of what woke is, because woke is just complaining about racism, but not doing anything about it. So
I disagree with that. You don't get to redefine woke. I mean, I guess he can, but to me, woke, I mean, you have to be awakened to something to even know that it's a problem before you can do something about it. So, from Obama and all these people who are against wokeism, I think they're, misguided and misdirected, because we have to understand the issues at large. I think that's why largely Republicans are against critical race theory and try to make it seem like they wanted to redefine what critical race theory is and define it so then they could, toss it out and say that it's not good. But critical race theory does not focus on groups of people, but rather systematic policy, you know, um, um, and laws and regulations and institutions that explain how we got to where we are today. So I don't see how anyone could think that it's a negative thing based on what it really is. If you redefine it and you say that it's negative, okay, I can get that, because you're redefining it, but that doesn't make it what it is.
what we're going to do about it is say, hey, you know what? Y'all not going to send nobody at me based on my opinion. You asked the question before. It drove me crazy to not be able to say that I like Trump.
I don't get how that drives you crazy. But at another point, when complaining that his children are going to school that celebrates Kwanzaa, Ye added, I prefer my kids knew Hanukkah than Kwanzaa. Hanukkah is not one of the feasts of the biblical people that he just said he believes that the race that they call black is the biblical people. Hanukkah is not in there. Neither is Kwanzaa. He said at least it will come with some financial engineering. The belief that Jews control the financial system is one of the oldest and most deeply rooted anti-Semitic claims. I don't understand how that's anti-Semitic. Because when it comes to entertainment and Hollywood, it's the truth. I'm going to have to pull up the receipts for you. Hold, please. It's amazing how, you know, um, how like telling the truth used to be a thing, but now it's not. I don't understand. So look, who runs Hollywood? Come on, this is by Joel Stein. That's a Jewish name. So he says, I've never been so upset by a poll in my life. Only 22% of Americans now believe the movie and television industries are pretty much run by Jews, down from nearly 50% in 1964. The Anti-Defamation League, which released the poll results last month, sees in these numbers a victory against stereotyping. Actually, it just shows how dumb America has gotten. Jews totally run Hollywood. Joel Stein, that's a Jewish name. This is December 19th, 2008. How deeply Jewish is Hollywood? When the studio chiefs took out a full-page ad in the Los Angeles Times a few weeks ago to demand that the Screen Actors Guild settle its contract. The open letter was signed by News Corp President Peter Chernin, Jewish, Paramount Pictures Chairman Brad Gray, Jewish, Walt Disney Co-Chief Executive Robert Eager, Jewish, Sony Pictures Chairman Michael Linton, surprise, Dutch Jew, Warner Brothers Chairman Barry Meyer, Jewish, CBS Corp Chief Executive Leslie Moonves, so Jewish his great uncle was the first Prime Minister of Israel, MGM Chairman Harry Sloan, Jewish, and NBC Universal Chief Executive Jeff Zucker, mega Jewish. If either of the Weinstein brothers had signed, this group would have not only the power to shut down all film production, but to form a minion with enough Fiji water on hand to fill a mikveh. The person they were yelling at in the ad was SAG President Alan Rosenberg. Take a guess. The scathing rebuttal to the ad was written by entertainment super agent Ari Emanuel, Jew with Israeli parents, on the Huffington Post, which is owned by Ariana Huffington, not Jewish, and has never worked in Hollywood. The Jews are so dominant, I had to scour the trades to come up with 6 Gentiles in high positions at entertainment companies. When I called them to talk about their incredible advancement, 5 of them refused to talk to me, apparently out of fear of insulting Jews. The 6th AMC president, Charlie Collier, turned out to be Jewish. As a proud Jew, I want America to know about our accomplishment. Yes, we control Hollywood. Without us, you'd be flipping the 700 Club and Davy and Goliath on TV all day. So I've taken it upon myself to reconvince America that Jews run Hollywood by launching a public relations campaign because that's what we do best. I'm weighing several slogans, including Hollywood, more Jewish than ever, Hollywood from the people who brought you the Bible, and Hollywood, if you enjoy TV and movies, then you probably like Jews after all. I called ADL chairman Abe Foxman, who was in Santiago, Chile, where he told me, to my dismay, he was not hunting Nazis. He dismissed my whole proposition, saying that the number of people who think Jews run Hollywood is still too high. The ADL poll, he pointed out, showed that 59% of Americans think Hollywood execs do not share the religious and moral values of most Americans, and 43% think the entertainment industry is waging an organized campaign to weaken the influence of religious values in this country. That's a sinister canard, Foxman said. It means they think Jews meet at the Cantor's Deli on Friday mornings to decide what's best for the Jews. Foxman's argument made me rethink. I have to eat at Cantor's more often. That's a very dangerous phrase, Jews control Hollywood. What is true is that there are a lot of Jews in Hollywood, he said. Instead of control, Foxman would prefer people say that many executives in the industry happen to be Jewish, as in all 8 major film studios are run by men who happen to be Jewish. But Foxman said he is proud of the accomplishments of American Jews. I think Jews are disproportionately represented in the creative industry. They're disproportionate as lawyers and probably medicine here as well, he said. He argues that this does not mean that make pro-Jewish movies any more than they do pro-Jewish surgery. Though other countries I've noticed aren't so big on circumcision. I appreciate Foxman's concerns, and maybe my life spent in the New Jersey, New York Bay area, LA pro-Semitic cocoon has left me naive. But I don't care if Americans think we're running the news, media, Hollywood, Wall Street, or the government. I just care that we get to keep running them. So, Los Angeles Times. Need I say any more? All right. In one more, Ye told Carlson that he was going to be the first Latino president. That statement was aired, but it followed by something that wasn't. I just trust I trust Latinos when I work with them, he told Carlson. I trust them more than he paused. I'll be safe. Certain other businessmen. Carlson did not ask which businessmen those might be. I did notice that he never asked really questions. Okay, I remember seeing that in the article or in that other show. Carlson's program also didn't air a strange claim from Ye that fake children had been placed in his house to manipulate his children. I mean, like actors, professional actors, placed in my house to sexualize my kids, he told Carlson. He referred to the so-called son of an associate, seemingly to imply the child was fake. We didn't even believe that this person was her son because he was way smarter than her, right? Ye has spoken frequently about living with bipolar disorder and experiencing manic episodes. In 2019, he discussed how he experiences these with David Letterman, telling him, "When you're in this state, you're hyper paranoid about everything, everyone. This is my experience. Other people have different experiences. Everyone now is an actor. Everything's a conspiracy." Carlson didn't ask any follow up questions or redirect this line of thought, allowing Ye to lead directly into another claim, which also didn't air, about one of his children being kidnapped on her birthday so that Ye was not able to see her. That claim is part of what seems to be his ongoing and very public obsession with being treated unfairly or unequally in his children's lives and in the midst of a heated custody battle with Kim Kardashian. So I'm not at a point to say that, that's not legit or not. I don't know. Everyone saw in broad daylight these public figures kidnapped my black child on her birthday, he told Carlson. I did not know the location of the birthday party, and Travis Scott had to give me the address. When I showed up, they were so frazzled. If that's not the most Karen level thing to feel like you can take a black child and not give the father the address. This is the way people are treated when they get out of prison, when they go to prison. And 100%, I'm in a glass prison, or else I'd be the one with they say so over where my with the say so over where my child goes to school. Ye has repeatedly claimed on Instagram that his child, Chicago, was not permitted to see him on her birthday, something that Kim's sister Khloe Kardashian responded to in the comments of the post. Again, with the birthday narrative, she wrote, "Enough already. We all know the truth, and in my opinion, everyone's tired of it. You know exactly where your children are at all times, and you wanted to separate birthdays. I have seen all the text to prove it." I don't know. A lengthy piece of the interview was also not broadcast, involved Ye's ruminations about the death of Virgil Abloh, the fashion designer who was his one-time friend and who died in November 2021. Ye accused Louis Vuitton, where Abloh worked at the time of his death, of killing Abloh and said he was beefing with the company. Abloh died of cancer at just 41 years old. Virgil was actually okay. Let's see. Oh, my bad. It's not playing the sound because I didn't add it on there. Okay. Virgil was actually the third person to die of cancer in that organization, Ye told Carlson. So not just black men have passed in that organization, but the third person to die of cancer that was in a higher up position in that organization. And with Paris is a different level of elitism and racism. And Virgil was the kind of guy that he didn't hold it in. And I believe it ate him up from inside. A moment later, he added the level of racism, elitism, and pressure that he was under, I'm sure affected his health. Ye also made a strange comment, which Carlson didn't air, about his plans to create kinetic energy communities built with free energy, a technology not currently available to human beings. He says, I have visions that God gives me just over and over on community building and how to build these free energy fully kinetic energy communities, he told Carlson, where we put the least impressions on earth. We're not building the new New York skyline cockfight, that we are humble in the way that we present ourselves. We've got to rethink who we are as a species. Okay, I don't see a problem with that. Including this portion of the interview might have helped audience understand Ye's state of mind and general grasp on observable reality. While Ye said that he stops taking his medication for periods of time in an Instagram post earlier this year, he also called it dismissive to say, I'm off my meds anytime I speak up. Carlson closed his segment on the Ye interview by declaring that the artist, whose erratic behavior has for years been at the center of discussions about mental health and how black men with mental health issues are treated, is not crazy and worth listening to. He also added approvingly that Ye was getting bolder in what he has to say. Carlson and Fox News spokespeople did not respond to multiple requests for comment. Representatives for Ye and Louis Vuitton also did not respond to requests for comment. I think what we can get out of this ultimately is the fact that we got to pray for Kanye and pray that he finds his way out of the maze of Hollywood and entertainment. And I don't think it's anti-Semitic. I think the whole DEFCON 3 on Jews is anti-Semitic. But even I think that's prejudice. I don't like the definition of anti-Semitic because the definition of Semitic is is Afro-Asiatic languages. You know what? Should I just pull that up for y'all? I did on my Truth About Israel video. So let's look it up. All right, here we go. Always got to have the receipts, right? So Semitic, relating to or denoting a family of languages that includes Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic, and certain ancient languages such as Phoenician and Akkadian, constituting the main subgroup of the Afro-Asiatic family, relating to the peoples who speak Semitic languages, especially Hebrew and Arabic. So who spoke Hebrew and Arabic? The Hebrew today is largely Yiddish. It's some Hebrew words, but most people know that it's largely Yiddish, which is Germanic. So let's look up anti-Semitic, hostile to or prejudice against Jewish people. How does this fit in words? Like usually if you are anti something, the proper definition for anti-Semitic would be prejudice against Hebrew and those of the Afro-Asiatic languages, Arabic. You see what I'm saying? But that just says Jewish people. The definition doesn't fit according to the way I interpret this. And so I think it's very important to acknowledge that. And I think that the real issue with what Kanye said, as far as, stuff about Jewish people, is that the biblical people would be seen as black today. Black is a color in a crayon box. So, I don't really like the term, but they would be seen as black in the English lexicon, in the colonialist society that we all live in. Black is what people from Africa are called based on their skin color. So, I'm gonna do another video. Maybe the next one will be about the biblical people and what color of skin they were based on the geographical location in which they were. Yeah. But thank you for tuning in to this. I hope you enjoyed it. Give a like and subscribe. Once again, if there's any shows that you want to see me do or you want to come on, hit me up at ibelievetemple.com, where you'll find all the access to my social links. I'm on Twitter. I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Rumble, Spotify, Convo Blueprint with Zion, everywhere. So, find me, follow me. And thanks for the love. Appreciate the support. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.